There's a bill in the Texas House that's gaining some momentum, and it could have a huge impact on the Lone Star State. Texas House Bill 184 would reduce the penalty for possession of up to 1 ounce of marijuana in Texas. The bill was just voted out of the Criminal Jurisprudence Committee by a vote of 6-3. HB 184 still has several hurdles to get over before the bill would go to a vote in the Texas House. Representatives with TXNORML, the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws, are very happy this bill has legs, saying it would help first-time offenders and keep them from ruining their lives.
We've had, of the last 3 sitting presidents, Clinton, Bush, and Obama, all 3 of them have basically admitted to consuming cannabis. And if they had been caught at a young age, I think that you can arguably say that they probably would not have become the president of the United States.
Democratic strategist Harold Cook and Republican strategist Rob Johnson joining us now to hash out this topic. You just heard what Jax just said. What do you think about this bill, Rob?
Well, let's be clear. This still says that smoking pot is illegal. I think the message that this committee and this bill is trying to send to our young people is don't smoke pot, first of all. But if you do and you get caught, you make a mistake, let's not put you in jail for 20 years. You know, let's not overdo it. But let's be clear. You should not smoke pot, and it is illegal to smoke pot, even if this bill passes.
But, yeah, I mean, they're softening it up. It's not quite as illegal as it used to be in a way.
Well, it still is illegal. It is a crime. You will get arrested. You will get handcuffs put on you. You know, should it be tougher? I'm fine with it being tougher. But it also, as long as it's still a crime, and it's going to save our counties money because fewer people will go to jail, but they'll still be in trouble. And it doesn't treat, it treats first-time offenders this way, but if you get caught multiple times, the penalties are harsher.
Yeah, I mean, that is a key thing to talk about here. This is for first-time offenders, or I believe at this stage, if you haven't had an arrest the previous 24 months before you were arrested again, you're treated as a first-time offender. Harold Cook, what do you think of this bill?
I like the bill for several reasons. Number one, Rob mentioned it already. It's going to save counties money and save law enforcement a lot of trouble. And the extent to which they spend much time, you know, arresting people for less than an ounce of marijuana, then that's just time that could be better spent. And to the extent that anybody's going to jail for something like that, that's just money that I'd prefer our tax dollars not be spent on. That's the first thing. And number two, this is taking it from a Class B misdemeanor down to a Class B down to a Class C. Now let's compare with some other things. It is currently a Class B misdemeanor under current law. So is a first offense DWI. Now, I don't know about you, Mike, but I would far rather be driving down the road with the car next to me having a guy with less than an ounce of marijuana in his pocket than be drunk. And so now a Class C misdemeanor is like if you run a stop sign or something. So, you know, this sounds about right to me. If they move it down to a Class C, I think it's in keeping with public opinion. It is still not legal, but it's not the, you know, ordeal it used to be.
Well, you know, I mean, it made it out of the Jurisprudence Committee in the House, which for a lot of people is a pretty big deal, that in and of itself. Rob, how are the real conservatives in the State House going to react to this sort of legislation?
You know, we'll see. There's a libertarian strain in our State House and in our country. Take Rand Paul, for example. Rand Paul, the senator from Kentucky who's considered a presidential contender, this is something he's already started campaigning on, is lessening the penalties. And ultimately, it's a states' rights issue. And if the people of a state want the law to be this, then it'll be this. Let's look at Colorado, look at Washington. Their people voted to legalize marijuana altogether. I'm opposed to that, but the people voted on it, and if you don't like it, you can move. Don't like it, don't do it.
Yeah, I mean, Harold, this is just another indication of that kind of movement to making marijuana okay in a way?
Yeah, public opinion has changed a lot on this, and to Rob's point, and I agree with him, you know, what is a conservative going to think about it? Well, one thing a conservative doesn't want to do is waste any tax money, and to the extent to which people were going to jail or even prison over this over the last 20 or 30 years. Look, I mean, prison is full of 2 kinds of people, and there's a small group, and they're sure enough dangerous folks that we need to keep, you know, separated from society. And then there's the ones we're mad at, and that's why they're there. And, you know, as far as, you know, an ounce or less of marijuana, we're not even mad at them. They They ran the stop sign. So, you know, I kind of think they ought to get a ticket and go on with the rest of their day.
I would say it might be a little more serious than running a stop sign, Harold, but I do like it when you talk like a conservative and saying you don't want to waste money.
I'm such a good conservative, Rob.
That excites me.
All right, you know, let's leave it on an agreement between you two. Again, this just made it out of the Jurisprudence Committee. It's got a long way to go just in the House. They got to read it 2 more times. There could be more amendments. Then it would go over to the Senate to jump through all of those hoops before it would actually get to the governor. So if it were to make it, it would be a long, strange trip for the bill. Gentlemen, as always, thanks for coming in. And if anybody wants to chime in and we want to hear your opinions on this issue, this latest bill, we are talking about it on our Facebook page. Gentlemen, thanks again.
Thanks, and you're right, far from becoming a law.
Yeah.